Hello everyone, welcome back. We're back with our final part of our four-part July 1st recap. Today we're looking at the last division, the Metro. Lots of signings were made on July 1st in the Metro division, including some pretty big ones that might shake up the rankings. We'll go to all of the updates from the Metro division on July 1st coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the End-to-End Hockey channel. Now before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. Thank you for all of your support. I would never be able to do this without you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to leave a comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. And don't forget to stay tuned for more videos that are going to be coming out later. So in today's video, we have our final part of our four-part series looking at each division and finding out which players were signed on July 1st. Today we're looking at the Metro division and looking at what some of the signings from Carolina, the New York teams, and the Pennsylvania teams were made. So we'll touch on all these teams here. So we're going to start with the Hurricanes. They made 3 July 1st signings. They made a Logan Stankoven extension beginning next year because Stankoven still has 1 year left on his deal. An 8-year extension with AAV of $6 million. They signed Mike Riley to a 3-year deal with AAV of $1.1 million. And they signed Miftakov to a 1-year league minimum deal. Miftakov is a young prospect, so he's going to get an opportunity to play pro-level minutes, so very interesting note there, but it shouldn't be a really impact piece there for the Hurricanes. They get Mike Riley, 3 years, $1.1 million. They lost Orlov, they lost Burns in free agency, so they need to replace some of those defensive minutes. Riley can be a solid 6'7" defenseman. $1.1 million, not too bad. I think the term's a little bit long, but that's not an overly bad deal for the Hurricanes, especially for a suitable 6'7" defenseman. And they extend Logan Stankoven, a beautiful extension. 8 seasons at only a $6 million cap hit is another steal for the Carolina Hurricanes. It might even be a steal and a half. A great sign there to keep Stankoven under the $7 or $8 million mark going forward. So beautiful work there on the Stankoven extension. Get some added depth with Riley. Get a new contract for Miftakov. So very interesting note there. The Columbus Blue Jackets on July 1st made one signing, and it was an interesting one. Signing Isaac Lindestrom to a 2-year contract with an AAV of $1.3 million. It's not the big splash Columbus was hoping for, and they still might make that big splash, but that's not a bad deal there for the Blue Jackets. Like Lundestrom in Anaheim was a solid 3rd, 4th line guy, basically boxed out of the top 6, but was a really solid center / left winger. In Columbus, I think he could be something of the similar sorts. 4th line guy, 3rd line guy, put up some points. He's also on the younger side, wasn't qualified by the Anaheim Ducks, so this is a great pickup here at $1.3 million. Like, that's a steal of a deal for the Columbus Blue Jackets. So very just note there, but that was their one signing. The New Jersey Devils made 5 day 1 signings and free agency. They sent Connor Brown to a 4-year deal, AAV of $3 million. Re-upped Jake Allen for a 5-year extension with AAV of $1.8 million. Signed Angus Crookshank to a 2-year deal, league minimum. And they signed Kellen Addison, Dennis Cholowski to a 1-year deal at league minimum. So very interesting note there. Crookshanks is more of an AHL player. He was in the Ottawa Senators organization last year, but he can be a solid call-up option, maybe even a 4th liner. So I could see him be called up. You have Addison, you have Cholowski. Both are decent 3rd pair guys. Last year were more AHL level guys. I wouldn't be surprised with the depth on the Devils. They started in the AHL and then maybe wound up coming up and playing at the NHL level if they ran into some injuries, but just some added depth there for the Devils by signing Cholowski and Addison. They wind up bringing back Jake Allen, a beautiful deal. It is a little bit of a longer term deal, so sort of like the Marchand deal, which we talked about in one of our previous videos. It takes him until he's 39 years old. Will he be playing at 39? I'm not exactly sure, but to keep Allen, who's a really solid backup goaltender, under $2 million for the next 5 seasons is a steal. Now they're going to be able to have Allen and Markstrom work together at least for the next season. So really solid deal there as they're able to get Allen. And they also get Connor Brown, 4 years, $3 million. I think the term's a little bit long. I would have liked to see him like on a 2 or 3 year deal. 4, I think, pushing it a little bit. But I think $3 million for a solid speedy middle 6 forward who can put you up points, go on the penalty kill. That's not a bad contract there for the Devils, even though I think it's a little bit too long of term. So we're very interested note there. But Brown, Allen get pretty good value deals, even though their term's a little bit longer. And then there's a couple of depth adds there for the Devils. The New York Islanders made 7 signings on July 1st, including Jonathan Drouin getting a 2-year deal, $4 million AAV. Holmstrom, who was an RFA, getting a 2-year extension with AAV of $3.63 million. Tony DeAngelo re-signing with the Islanders on a 1-year, $1.75 million deal. Rittich signs a 1-year, $1 million deal. And then Ethan Bear, Matthew Highmore, and Cole McWard all get 1-year league minimum deals. McWard, he's an AHL player, has minimal NHL experience, so I expect that to remain. Highmore, Bear both have some level of NHL experience. Last year were mainly AHL guys. I could see Highmore challenge for a bottom 6 role. I could see Bear maybe challenge for like a third pair role in the Islanders. So I think they'll challenge for a role, but I won't be surprised if they were starting the AHL and were call-up options. David Rittich's going to be a solid third stringer for the Islanders. They have Sorokin, they have Varlamov. There's some speculation Varlamov might start an injury reserve, which would allow Rittich to be the backup to Sorokin, which isn't overly bad. 1 year, $1 million to be a solid third or backup. I think it's a pretty good sign there for the Islanders. They bring back DeAngelo on a 1-year deal. They bring back Holmstrom on a 2-year deal. Holmstrom 2 years, under $4 million for a solid top 6 goal scorer who can put up between 20 and 30 goals. That's a beautiful deal, in my opinion, for the Islanders. For the Islanders, they also get DeAngelo, 1 year, under $2 million. He did quite well after being acquired around the middle of the season. So if he can do well next year, I could see him getting another extension. So really solid signing there. And they get Jonathan Drouin, 2 years at a $4 million AAV. That one's a little bit more surprising. I thought Drouin will probably get closer to the $3 million mark, but it's only a 2-year deal. Like if it's not working out next offseason, they could potentially move on from him. So not a bad deal there, in my opinion, for the Islanders, but still, I think Drouin's going to be a solid top 9 addition there for the Islanders. So I don't like the money on Drouin, but besides that, some pretty dang good moves there from the Islanders in free agency. The New York Rangers made 5 moves on day 1 of free agency. They signed Gavrikov to a 7x7 deal, Will Cuylle to a 2-year deal with AAV of $3.9 million, Rittich to a 2-year deal with AAV of $1.5 million, and Dowling and Pouliot to 2-year deals at league minimum. Dowling, Pouliot on the defensive end, Dowling on the forward group. More AHL level guys who could be call-up options. I would expect them to be that in the New York Rangers organization. Taylor Rittich gets a 2-year, $1.5 million AAV deal. Not a bad deal. Rittich can be a really solid bottom 6 guy, help in a variety of different ways. Play 4th line minutes, maybe even 3rd line minutes. So at 1.5 for 2 years, like that's not overly bad contract there for the Rangers. They sent Will Cuylle to a 2-year deal, $3.9 million. There was some talk, some people might have considered an offer sheet for him for like $6 or $7 million. So again, at under $4 million, sure, it's only a bridge deal, but to get him at under $4 million is a steal for the New York Rangers and a beautiful move there from New York. And Gavrikov, there was a lot of speculation leading into July 1st. Gavrikov and the Rangers would sign, and they do 7x7. That's not a bad deal there for the Rangers. There are a lot of people who thought Gavrikov would get 8+ on the open market, just like Provorov did in Columbus. So I think that's a pretty dang good deal for the Rangers. Is the term a little bit long? Yeah, but Gavrikov's one of the younger UFAs. So very interesting note there, but I think there were a lot of really good signings there from the Rangers as they signed some very interesting pieces. The Pittsburgh Penguins signed 5 players too. They re-signed Philip Tomasino on a 1-year, $1.75 million deal. Braun Brazeau on a 2-year deal with AAV of 1.5. Dewar on a 1-year, $1.1 million deal. Witherspoon on a 2-year, $1 million deal. And Caleb Jones on a 2-year deal with AAV of $900,000. So both Witherspoon, Jones, they have been playing over the past couple seasons as third pair defensemen. I think they're more suited to be like 6-7 guys. With the Penguins' weak blue line potentially still moving off of Erik Karlsson, I think they're most likely going to challenge for like a third pair role, and I could see either of them get it, and with what they're making, like that's pretty dang good value there for the Penguins. They re-signed Connor Dewar, 1 year, $1.1 million. Re-signed Philip Tomasino, 1 year, $1.75 million after they didn't qualify either of them. Not bad contracts there, both under $2 million. Tomasino had a great stint with the Penguins last year, so I expect that to continue. And Dewar is a really solid bottom 6 forward, so at just over $1 million, that's not a bad deal for the Penguins. They also bring in Justin Brazeau, 2 years, $1.5 million. Once again, not a bad contract. Brazeau can be a solid bottom 6 guy, hard-hitting guy. Is he worth $1.5 million? Maybe not, but at $1.5 million, I don't think that's a really bad deal there for the Penguins. So very interesting note there, but Tomasino, Brazeau, Dewar, Witherspoon, and Jones signed Pittsburgh. The Philadelphia Flyers also made 5 signings here on July 1st. They signed Christian Dvorak to a 1-year, $5.4 million deal. Vladar to a 2-year, $3.35 million deal. Gilbert to a 1-year, $875,000 deal. Jolson to a 1-year, $900,000 deal. And Pettersson to a 1-year, $775,000 deal. Pettersson, mostly an AHL guy, could be a call-up option. I'll expect him to probably be an AHL level player next next year. Jules and Gilbert both have had time at the NHL and AHL level over the past couple of years. Gilbert in Buffalo and Ottawa, Jolson last year in Vancouver. I think Jolson is more likely to spend more time at the NHL level, but I could see both of them challenge for like 6-7 roles in the Philadelphia Flyers organization. They signed Vladar 2 years, $3.35 million. They needed a backup goaltender. Ersten Fedotov, it just wasn't working out for the Philadelphia Flyers, so I think Vladar behind Ersten would be a very solid move there for Philadelphia, and I think going forward that's probably going to be the tandem, so a really solid move there from Philly. And they signed Christian Dvorak. I don't like the AAV. $5.4 million for like a third line center, which is what he is right now. Not overly good, but I do believe it's only a 1-year contract. If they're not doing overly good at the trade deadline, they could eat some money and move him at the trade deadline. So while I don't think it's a great AAV and it's one of the worst contracts that we saw on July 1st, it's a 1-year deal, and if it doesn't work out, they can always move it on from him or walk away from him next year's free agency. So very interesting note there, but some very intriguing signings there from Philadelphia. And then the Washington Capitals made one more signing, and that was with Martin Fehrvary. The RFA needed a new contract. He gets a 7-year deal with AAV of $6 million. He's a defensive defenseman. He's a third pair guy right now. He could probably be a second pair guy in the very near future, but still, Fehrvary at $6 million to me is a stretch. I think Fehrvary at best is like maybe a $4.5 million defenseman, not a $6 million guy. So I definitely think Fehrvary is pretty happy with that contract. I think the Capitals really overpaid for this sort of a deal, but still, it's an interesting sign there as Fehrvary is going to stay in the Caps organization. So very interesting note there, but I definitely think a couple of these teams improved. Like, I don't think Pittsburgh really got a whole bunch better. The Rangers were able to get Gavrikov. That was a massive improvement. Philadelphia, well, I do think they're not overly great contracts. Did get Vladar, did get Dvorak. Those weren't bad ads there for the Flyers. The Islanders improved their forward group a little bit by adding a guy like Drouin and Highmore, and also adding some goalie depth in Rittich. The Devils added some forward depth, and Brown also brought back Allen, which was a steal. Lundestrom, really solid pickup here for the Jackets. Riley, a pretty good pickup there for the Hurricanes. The extension for Stankoven was great. So all in all, some pretty dang good moves on day one of free agency for the Metro Division. And I definitely think there were a couple of teams here, maybe a team like the Rangers, the Jackets, or Devils, who actually did improve quite a bit. So we'll have to wait and see on how they do. But that's what we're talking for today. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. Who do you think wound up being the winners and losers on day one of free agency for the Metro Division? That's all I'm going to talk for today. Remember to like this video, and if you'd like to subscribe below. Thank you for all of your support. I would never be able to do this without all of you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to leave a comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Also, the blog to win news, rumors, analysis. So for that, remember to check that out. I've linked that in the description below. Can't wait to see you guys all for the next video. See you guys soon.